Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Gabby Pinkerton and I'm a destination wedding planner for adventurous couples, but I also am super passionate about marketing for business and specialize in Pinterest. So one thing I realized, I kind of like jumped on really quickly here, is that I'm just about to write a blog post for a venue tour that I did, and I was like, oh my god, I should show behind the scenes of what I do, really show on camera the steps that I take when writing a blog post, and then how I bring it over to Pinterest. So this will be a pretty in-depth video. I'll really try to show you guys, kind of the basic steps and speak about it as I go. I'll also link any of the apps or tools or websites that I use for this in my description below. But if you like this kind of content, please let me know. I also like to do just some personal day in the life type of stuff because I think it just helps you guys get to know me a little bit better and we don't have to only talk shop all the time. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoy this and I will show you what I've written so far. All right, first things first, grab a drink, a beverage of choice while blogging because you guys, it's long, it's tedious, and I get it, but it's super, super important to, bring traffic to your website and also just link all these other programs like Pinterest and even Instagram and Facebook to come back to your website, something that you own, and where you can then sell potential clients on your packages and services. So let's start here. I use WordPress as my website host as well as my blog. And so what I'm doing first of all is, let me actually show you. We went and did a site tour of this cool venue here in Nashville called 1410. And Mallory Holcomb was the photographer on this. She's awesome. Check her out. I will link her Instagram below. But what I ask is that a photographer come with us on a site tour. It's just usually me, a photographer, and obviously the venue manager, venue owner. And I want them to take photos of the space. So wide angles, close-up shots of a few details that are, things that are included in the venue. And just kind of, looking up all different angles, basically wide, vertical images, horizontal images, some behind the scenes photos, which I always think are really fun. We did actually do a video of this site tour, so I will make another video on this channel about the site tour. But long story short, we use these photos on our blog, and not only do we approach the venue by saying, hey, this is like free promotion for you guys, we want to feature your venue on our blog, but also we're going to pin it, and we have a lot of traffic, so we can show them the analytics for that. Even if you don't have a lot of traffic, I think anybody who wants to get their name out there as a venue will say yes, right? So we even get photos of the bathrooms, the bridal suite details, the kitchen, because you guys, this is awesome for when you need, brides especially, when you want to show your caterer what your venue is going to look like if they've never been. You can refer back to our blog post. And also vendors of all sorts, you guys can refer back to our blog post. This is obviously during the coronavirus time, in early June, so we just made sure to have our masks on and we all stayed pretty far apart. So anyway, this is the gallery that we have. So what I do first is I go and pick out, so I started this, of course, to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what we're doing here. But I start with my title. So I sometimes go and tweak this a little bit, but I am thinking of Pinterest, and I am thinking of Google search engine, and I am thinking, what do clients type in those search bars to get to this post? Well, let me tell you, my best guess is they're going to type in the venue name, of course. Like, they want to see information or wedding inspiration or photos of all sorts at that venue. So aside from this venue's website, where can they get that information? Well, it's going to be on my website. So I also want to mention a long tail keyword. And if you guys know me and how I like to talk about Pinterest, I mention long tail keywords a lot. And that this is one of them. So Nashville wedding venue. It is searchable in Google. It is searchable in Pinterest. And I want it to come up in a search engine. The other thing I'm going to mention is a bit of a theme. So a style or, theme of what this venue would be like. So modern farmhouse is how they describe it on their website. So I'm going to plug that in there in case someone, Googles modern farmhouse wedding venue or Nashville wedding venue. So I may tweak this because I wish I could put the 1410 in a different way, but I need to think on it a little bit. So the next thing I do is I start actually doing a little intro paragraph. So I want to mention, of course, the name of the venue here. I want to mention the style that it is. So a modern warehouse style wedding venue. I want to mention the city that it's in. I talk about it being non-traditional wedding venue because I personally know this is a search term on Google and on Pinterest that is searched by a lot of people. So I want to add that in to my blog. So I just talk about it a little bit here in my intro, and then I'm going to separate it into a few larger categories. So first things first, let's actually talk about uploading images. So what I did here is I want to start with one image that represents the venue really well. So I thought this was a really great wide shot. It shows kind of a mock setup of the ceremony space and then the reception, and it just shows like how tall the ceilings are, and I really like this image. So what I did is I go to tinypng.com, and this will compress your files. There's a ton of other websites you can use. I'm not sponsored by them by any means. I don't even know if they sponsor anybody, but I just drag and drop my large files into here, and it compresses it down. Like for example, this one, it compresses it down 50%, and it's perfect size for blog posts because the challenge is I was getting a lot of hits on my blog during certain times, and it was like crashing my website. So I realized that my images were just like way, way, way too high in terms of resolution. So I first do that, and then I'll go and add my media, and then just drag and drop them back, and here's my photo at the front. So that's how I got to there. Let me go back here. So just one overall photo here. Then I'm going to start, talk about a little bit more. Then I want to separate my blog posts into what clients may be searching. So maybe they're going to be interested in knowing about the ceremony spaces. So I speak to, my personal opinion about the space. I said that most of them will be held in front of this front door, but others I could also see happening on the cute patio. So I know I have some detailed photos of the chairs that are included. I have, a couple wide shots. I have a patio photo. So I'm just going to start inserting those in here. And I did already make them smaller. Let me see here. Okay, so one thing I didn't show you guys is that I did rename all my files. Once I reduce their size and they land on my desktop, I rename it to the venue name and maybe the word wedding venue 123 type of thing. Okay, so I want you guys to focus over on this section here because this is where the important stuff comes in. So as you can see, this is a picture of kind of the skylight, and I just want to show a detailed shot of it. I renamed it 1410-wedding venue 1. So I just know that maybe wedding venue could be searched and 1410 could be searched in, Google Images even, it could pop up. So this is the alt text, and this is important. It is important when it comes to Pinterest. You can use it on the back end kind of as a caption, but I do like to use it here also when Google is crawling your page, so like searching for words. It only sees words, it doesn't see images, so we have to help it out a little bit and describe what we see in this image. This is maybe, this is a hard example. Let's maybe just do the chairs here. So I would say Nashville wedding venue 1410 ceremony setup, right? Something like that. Maybe ceremony setup with metal chairs. Great. Don't need to worry about the title. And don't need to worry about the caption because we don't want to add anything under there. And all right, I'm going to make this into a gallery. So let me get the other images ready. So this image is kind of a more far away shot of the room. So I'm gonna say 1410 ceremony setup with metal chairs. Actually, sorry, I'm gonna see, this is my thought process. I'm gonna say modern farmhouse venue 1410 ceremony setup. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Title, we'll call it 14. Oh, this was number 3. I'm just gonna rename it. This was 2. Okay, now these are actually going to be a gallery for me, so let me back out for you guys. So I'm going to create a gallery, and I'm going to select these 2 images. Beautiful. We're going to make it column of 2 page, and they're going to be large. Insert. Bam. 2 side by sides. So personally, I like doing it, you know, a couple horizontals every so often, as 2 side by side vertical when there's detailed photos. And then I'll probably just go under here and add the one of the skylight, and I'm just gonna call this 1410 wedding venue metal chandelier. And this was one. Okay. Insert into post. There we go. Perfect. So I'm going to continue typing and inserting photos here as we need. I'm gonna move the camera over a little bit so you guys can see me, and then I will link to the final blog post. Alright guys, I just finished blogging. I added all of my images, I added some specs about the venue, and I think it shows a really good, like, multiple angles of each space, and it gives enough detail in each section. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move you guys over here and zoom in on the keywords. So let's see. Scroll up. Okay, so tags. So I want a lot of, this is basically to help us get extra searchability here, and I'm gonna add a few tags such as Nashville wedding venue, 1410, because we can events, Nashville wedding planner, modern wedding venue. All right, let's start with that. So I also have a category here. Oopsies, where did it go? I have a few categories that I use for my blogs. This one's going to fall under wedding. Okay, now one more thing that I do on WordPress, I have YOAST SEO, and what that means, and sorry, I'm scrolling fast here, I want to go to the bottom. So what that means is YOAST is a plugin on WordPress, I believe. You may be able to get it on a couple other website browsers, or not browsers, gosh, hosts, I guess, but I know for sure it works with WordPress. So it basically gives you information about how this blog is doing. Actually, this is great because I got a green smiley face. It says, my one problem is transition word. Only 9.5% of sentences contain words Okay, so basically I could go in and change, maybe adding a few more transition words, but I'm not gonna worry about that right now. So readability, it's good. Now I'm gonna add in a focus keyword. And for this, I think I want it to be maybe 1410. I don't know if that's going to be enough. Oh yeah, it likes that. So it gave me a little happy face SEO. So that indicates to me that if people were to eventually put in 1410 in Google search, that I have maybe a high probability. Obviously this is gonna, get better over time, but I have a good shot at popping up. Okay, so I have all these happy faces, which makes me happy. And I am actually right now going to go make this live. Normally I would schedule this, but because I want to show you guys right away how I move this over to Pinterest and how I pin all of these images, I am going to publish immediately. Did it happen? It worked? It worked. Okay, so I'm gonna check it. So wecanevents.com/blog. There it is. There it is. Oh my gosh, awesome. Okay, I'm like acting as though I'm surprised. Please, I've done this a million times. I know it was gonna work. So, okay, the first thing I wanna do is I wanna make sure I am not on my generic blog page, but I am in fact on this individual blog, because anything that I pin from here on out is going to link directly to my unique URL. And that is super important because for years I was just pinning directly from my blog, and every time I posted a new blog, it would scroll down and get hidden. So people coming from Pinterest looking for that image or looking for the specific blog post would have to search and search and search, and we all know nobody was doing that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click my little icon. Let's see if you can see this. Oopsies. Gosh, I'm not good at this. My little Tailwind icon up in the corner there. I guess it's a plugin or an extension for your browser. And it's going to pop up all of the images on this page, on my blog post. So I love this because it saves me a lot of time instead of trying to upload everything individually to Pinterest. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go and select all of my images. All right, so we've got 21 images, and I'm going to click Go Schedule. Now it's going to pop up this little Tailwind browser thingamabopper. Now here's the crazy thing. A lot of the times, because a lot of us have Tailwind for both Instagram and Pinterest, and if you defaulted to Instagram or you were on Instagram last, it's going to pop up as Instagram. So always, always double check that you have switched over to Pinterest, because it has been a nightmare to do all of the work and realize that this entire time you had scheduled to Instagram and not Pinterest. So make sure you go over to the Pinterest side of things. So all of these images, this is an opportunity to actually add all of these images to the same board if you know you want them all in one specific board. And I want them all in Nashville Wedding Inspiration because that is one of my new boards, and I do not have a lot of images, so I was excited to be able to add this. Some of them now, I will add like individual images such as this one that's about the ceremony. I am going to type in, because I do have ceremony backdrops as one of my boards, but I obviously don't want the mirror to go into that board. It wouldn't make sense. So let me zoom in a little bit for you here. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed, but Tailwind gives you a few things to fill out here. So obviously, what board is this image going to? Next, what is its title? And if you hover over the title, it's going to default to the title of the blog, but I do like to go in and change these individually. But if you hover over, it gives you best practices. So simple, compelling headline, up to 100 characters, make your pin stand out, be descriptive but not too wordy, and then focus on the content of your pin. So don't necessarily repeat exactly what's in the description, but do make it kind of catchy. And then you want to make sure you avoid the word click. They tell you right here. So pay attention to what they're telling you because they're the pros here. So I'm gonna go ahead and write some of these captions, these titles, and then I'm going to down here, actually I'm not sure if you can tell, but this is my alt text. So if you want to kill two birds with one stone and not do a ton of work and you're just getting started with this and you're like, listen, I do not have time to go individually through all of these pins and rewrite captions, I totally get it. You can just do it once in your blog on your alt text and then go ahead and schedule all of these and you're gonna see it pop up. So at least you have a description here. It's not completely empty. And if you wanna just leave it as that and schedule all of them, go for it. But I'm not gonna say it's the most optimized way. You can now get a little bit deeper and I'm gonna show you how here. But if you are on a time crunch and you're like, I just need to get stuff on Pinterest, this is at least a good step. So I'm gonna go change this to modern farmhouse ceremony at 1410. So then my description is 1410 non-traditional warehouse wedding venue. And then I'm gonna elaborate. This modern wedding, this modern venue showcases tall white walls, skylight, and modern farmhouse decor. I also, here's my, not big secret because you can find this out anywhere, but I end with 3 hashtags, or sorry, first I end with a call to action. So I wanna say, click to see more from this warehouse style wedding venue. And then I'm gonna end with 3 hashtags. Hashtag, let's say, modern wedding venue, Nashville wedding venue, and maybe just wedding venue. It's a little broad, but I'm gonna try it. And I'm also just gonna copy these hashtags because I am going to use a lot of them in the same images. And then down here, I'm gonna actually add this image to tribes. If you're not familiar with tribes, that's a conversation for another day, but I am going to add that under my friend Jessica's actual, her tribe is called Modern Wedding Inspiration. So I thought this was kind of good. And there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna work on the rest of these and hopefully I will come back to you when they're all ready to pin. All right, we made it to the last step. So I went in and filled in all of these captions, changed all the titles, added hashtags, and added to my tribes if I felt necessary. So now I'm going to schedule them all. Are you yawning? All right. And it looks like it's scheduled, so I always like to go to my scheduled posts, make sure all is well. Perfect. So I had some empty spots already in my schedule, and it looks like it went ahead and filled those spots with my new photos that we just blogged. Normally I would probably, and I might just do it once here. I give the shuffle, or I give the cue a shuffle. just to make sure that Pinterest doesn't think we're spamming anybody, and we're not. We're just trying to add all of our photos from our blog post. So over the next few days, Pinterest is slowly going to trickle out these images, and we'll start checking back to see how they do. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. I hope it was easy to understand. It wasn't too much gibberish. I get super into it, and I really actually enjoy talking about this stuff. If you want to dive in a little bit deeper on Pinterest and kind of what I do exactly, I have a free webinar. I have a free kind of mini class for you guys. I will link that down below. It's about 45 minutes long. The beginning of it gets a little bit cut off because it was a webinar that I was putting on for another group. But I heard some great feedback so far from people that have taken it. They've really loved the information and they've implemented it, and they said it was very easy to understand. So I hope it is for you too. Please let me know. Give me a follow on here if you want to see more stuff like this. And I will also link my Pinterest Instagram account, because I know some of you follow me on 'Cause We Can events, which is awesome. That's all my wedding stuff. But if you are more interested in kind of business side of things, marketing and Pinterest, I will link my Gabby Pinkerton Instagram below. All right, I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next time.